Good morning, everyone. I hope you are keeping well. Lovely to see you and to be able to learn together. This morning's learning is dedicated in memory of Leah Bas Bible, Zivi Bas Mordechai, Avram ben David Slavin, Shlomo ben Yisrael Morris, Eliezer Shalom ben Avram Shmuel Beres, Sephora Fegel Bas Reuven Baruch, Shalom ben Elili ben Bas Bible, from Shoshana Bas Yaakov Shmuel, Sam Malka Bas Ben Yomin, Yirmiyahu Yechir ben Chovet Moshe Eliezer, as well as the yacht sites for today. David ben Mordechai Lipa Halevi Shalet, Sarah Bas Nachum Manders, David ben Leib Hillman, Leah Bas Zev Wolf Meris, and Noemi Rachel Bas Yitzchak Hirsch. We wish each of their respective families long life and only simchas in the years ahead. So today we continue our great odyssey and journey as we make our way to the next of the gates. We are learning the ways of the righteous, the ways of tzaddikim, and we are now have arrived at the gate of arrogance, not to be confused with the gate of pride that we have already done. So arrogance, we ask the question, good thing or bad thing? Is there any good? Is there any good? I'm asking you. Good morning, everyone. Let me just say good morning to everyone. We haven't done it for a while. Good morning, Peter. Good morning, Eitan. Good morning, Caroline. Michelle, good morning. Rachel, good morning. Colin, good morning. Hope you're feeling well. Caroline, good morning. Sarah, good morning. Estelle, good morning. Good morning to everyone. Of course, we have our quiz at lunchtime, which we're looking forward to, the schmooze and the quiz. But now let's carry on with where we are, since we don't have so much time. The gate of arrogance, so good or bad? So simply speaking, we would all agree, I think, that arrogance, right? An arrogant person is something which is abhorrent. It's something that we would run a million miles from. We would never want our kids and our family members to be arrogant. But what's the problem with being arrogant? What's the point of being very self-assured? Michael, good morning. So it goes like this. The arrogance is a base trait in most of its workings. It is the opposite of the trait of shame. We did shame yesterday. The man of shame overlooks offenses, pities, pardons, and he forgives. But a person who is arrogant and is stubborn does not forgive and is not ashamed before any person, but stands up with arrogance and rebellion against all men, and commits all evil deeds without shame, strengthening himself in evil and hardening himself in transgression. So I come to a question. So we now see that it's arrogance, right, is something which is we want to remove from our lives. It's abhorrent. It's something disgusting, right? It means that we're not forgiving. It means that we don't listen to other people, right? So why is it that the Jewish people, okay, you're listening to this, Caroline, I'm going to ask you the question. Why is it that the Jewish people are considered am kashe oref, a stiff-necked people? Huh? It's a good question, huh? So we pride ourselves in being a stiff-necked nation, right? And who was it? Golda Meir, I think, that said that we're the Jewish people that are a nation that refuse to take yes as an answer, right? We won't listen. So if we won't listen, that's a bad thing. Isn't that a sign of arrogance? Aren't the Jewish people arrogant as a whole? Huh? So it goes like this. I think the answer is like this. There is good arrogance, and as we've said many times, there is bad arrogance. So the bad arrogance that we are talking about means that a person who's very full of themselves and won't listen to anyone else and think they always know best, right? So they will not escape arguments and hatred and envy, right? And they're not respectful. They don't respect authority. So that is clearly something which is bad, something that we would condemn in the strongest possible terms. However, the flip side, and I think Michael's guessed it already, okay, is as follows, and that if you do not have a bit of stiff neck in you, if there isn't that bit of that grit, a bit of that will, a bit of that self-belief, then you are never going to stick with what you are doing. You're never going to actually achieve and stick to your principles. Imagine, right? After Yom Kippur, you say to yourself, right, from now on, I'm not going to listen to Lashon Hara. I'm not going to speak badly about other people. I'm not going to hear all the stuff, the garbage, the rubbish about other people. What happens? Somebody you meet up with, right? And immediately they start to say, did you hear? Did you hear what's going on in COVID? Did you hear that so-and-so broke the rules of COVID, right? If there isn't a bit of that backbone, right? If there isn't a bit of that self-belief, a bit of strength of character, what's going to happen? Oh, I couldn't possibly say anything to them. Oh, I don't want to offend them. I didn't want to upset them. So you end up giving in to everyone's whim and wants, right? Where does that leave you? You're not your own person. You're somebody else's person. And that, friends, is in short why it is that being stiff-necked, okay, has its place. Everything, as with all ingredients, in moderation. But being stiff-necked, and of course, is something which we can tap into, and it's something that we need to be principled, right? To live a life of honesty and integrity, especially in the world with all the challenges that we have. There's so much schmutz out there. It's horrendous what goes on in the world, and the way our youngsters are being pulled down by all of this on social media and these so-called celebrities and the rubbish that they spout and the lies, and it's horrendous. So if you want to have principles, you want to stick to your guns, you need a bit of that stiff-necked. However, as we've just said, if that is all that you've got, right, then we've got a real problem. There's a real danger that what's going to happen to you, Colin, you're going to become an arrogant person, a person who doesn't listen to authority. They do something wrong, right? And the rabbi goes over and says something, and they bite the head off of the rabbi. They scream and shout. The person goes to the school, and the teacher says to them, Jimmy, he's not doing his homework, right? Or little Laura, she's not doing her homework. And the parents, what do you know? You're a rubbish teacher. You wait, I'm going to deal with you. I'm going to go and speak to the head, right? They're a person who's always reporting everyone, who's always, always looking for arguments and fighting and knowing best. That's a terrible trait. And such people, I personally, I see them as toxic. Need to stay away from. I don't want to get engaged with them. I don't want to get involved and be sucked into their negativity and to their way of thinking. I want to be my own person. So an arrogant person wants everyone believes that it's their way or the highway. There is nothing in between, and therefore they expect everyone to listen to them, to follow them. Everyone has to be yes men and women, and that's a terrible thing. And sometimes people are in corporate positions, and the power and the position and the prestige has gone to the manager or the partner's head, and they can't listen to anyone around them. The worst thing we can do is to be arrogant, because we're not going to listen to anybody. You can only grow. That's what we said. That's why shame is the opposite. We said yesterday, when one has shame in one as a part of one's arsenal, as a part of one's character, then one is humble. One is listening to other people. Maybe I made a mistake, right? Maybe I need to recalibrate. Maybe I need to change course, right? So yes, agreed, Estelle, agreed, 100%. So this is what the character trait of arrogance is all about. Interesting that we know that when it comes to Pesach, what do we eat? We eat matzah. Matzah is the bread of affliction, the low bread without any air in it, right? Because it is considered humble, right? Like a servant, like the Jewish people, right? As we became God's chosen people, and we went out of Egypt, and we committed to following him and to adhering to the faith of Judaism and his principles and being loyal to him. That takes humility. Conversely, what's bread? Bread is something that's puffed up. It's ego, right? It's arrogance. That's what the rabbis say. So what happens at Pesach? Pesach, we eat only matzah, and afterwards then we eat bread. Because, as Estelle has put in her notes, in her comments, we need that balance, right? We need to keep ourselves grounded on the one hand. Pesach, hopefully, is not a one-off. It's something that we carry with us throughout the year. The taste of the matzah should linger in our mouths, in our palate throughout the year. In other words, that humility. But on the other hand, if you want to get on in life, there has to be a bit of that self-belief, that self. Otherwise, you're going to capitulate. Whatever anybody says, whatever anybody does, whichever way the wind blows, what everyone's doing, you're just going to follow them. And then you're going to be blown off course. And instead of living the life that you want to, and making the choices you deserve, right? You're going to all the time being led down a path that others have chosen, and then regretting, and then having remorse, right? So therefore, we've got to have a bit of that stiff-necked, and which is part of who we are. But on the other hand, there has to be that shame as well, that willingness to listen, right? So I to this day spend considerable amounts of time listening to people that are greater than me, right? Listening to their ideas, thinking about what they say, processing it. Is there room for improvement? Maybe I could have done things different. Maybe my character needs to improve. That's the way that you grow. There's no such thing. Did you notice in Judaism, there's no such thing, or at least at Ashkenazim, we don't call a great rabbi a chacham, a wise person, right? What they're always called a Talmid Chacham. Why a Talmid Chacham? Because we are students of wisdom. We always want to recognize that humility, right, comes first, and is and all the wisdom that we're going to achieve is predicated on that humility. We're going to carry on just because it's getting late, okay? So Psalm 23, and remember, I'll remind you afterwards. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He causes me to lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Even when I walk in the valley of darkness, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You set a table before me in the presence of my adversaries. You anointed my head with oil, my cup overflows. May only goodness and kindness pursue me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord for the length of days. Memorial prayer. Adon Olamim Zacho Es Nishmois, Leah Bas Bible, Siva Bas Mordechai, Abram Ben David Slavin, Shalom Ben Yisrael Morris, Eliezer Shalom Ben Abram Shmuel Ber, Super Fegel Bas Ruben Baruch, Shalom Ben Eli Ben Bas Bible, from Moshe Shana Bas Yaakov Shmuel, Yirmiyahu Yechia Ben Achav Moshe Eliezer, Sarah Malka Bas Ben Yamin, and David Ben Mordechai Lipa Halevi Shalet, Sarah Bas Nachum Mandas, David Ben Lev Hillman, Leah Bas Zev Wolf, Maris, Noemi Rachel Bas Yitzchak Hurst, Shalchu Lilamam, Bergan Aiden Teimanucha Samlachin Balarachamim, Yasirein Besezakana Pabilamim, Beisobasachai Nishmasam Adonai Unachlasam, Vianuchu Bushlamish Gavam, Venomar, Amen. Refu Shlema prayer, Mishabach of Saint Robin, Soviako, Moshe Aaron, David Shlomo Yivarach, Rapesachailim. Babu Shana Mispalim, Babu Ram, Bizchazar Kadosh Baruch Hu Yimalei Rachim Aleichem, Lachman Fosam, Bishlachlim, Pushlim and Shmaim Lacholvim Besoch Shachol Yisrael, Refusa Nefesh Vosagov Hashabak Zmakariv and Amar, Amen. Wish everyone well. Keep safe, keep well. We're still in isolation. They've lost our COVID test. I don't know what happens next. Maybe someone can tell me. And we look forward to seeing everyone tonight. We privileged yesterday to interview the minister of the Israeli MK and Minister of Integration and Aliyah, MK Panina. You'll hear her story. Fascinating and exceptionally inspirational woman who I would say is the next Golda Meir. She's definitely going places. A remarkable story from Exodus to the Promised Land tonight, and that's on Facebook and on YouTube and on US TV as well, hosted by them as well. And of course, we look forward to seeing you tomorrow, same time, same place. Take care, have a great day, and wishing everyone, those that are saying Kaddish, long life and only good things. Keep safe, keep well.